What's good, YouTube? Quasar here. Today I'm going to be bringing you guys my Psyframe Yosenju deck profile. I feel that this deck is going to be a really good road deck for the upcoming meta. I decided not to use any of that new Psyframe support because, let's get real, that's all shit. But yeah, let me just jump right into the deck profile for you guys. So as per usual, the standard, you play 3 alpha, of course, because basically when your opponent would normal or special summon a monster, you get to special summon this guy. It allows you to not only bring out your Psyframe driver, but you also get to search another Psyframe card from your deck and add it to your hand, except for another copy of itself, of course. Also, all of the gears are tuners, so allows for easy and quick synchro summoning. So next, 3 copies of Beta. Beta, when an opponent declares an attack, you get to drop this guy. So he's basically Battle Fader, stops the attack, ends the battle phase, and he has like a Sakuretsu armor ability too, and it destroys that attacking monster. So 3 copies of him as well. Really good for preventing OTKs and stuff like that. Next, we play 3 copies of Gamma. He's the level 2 tuner. So basically, anytime your opponent would activate a monster effect, you can drop this guy. It'll negate the effect, destroy the monster, and then, of course, all the gears, you bring out driver. And then if you have the field spell, you get to instantly synchro summon. I should also say that their effects only work if you control no monsters. So that's why we also play the Yosenju engine, because during the end phase, all those Yosenjus just return back to hand. I am playing 2 copies of Delta. Spell cards are still so popular. Always relevant, I must say. And now that, pendulums are pretty huge, you can negate actually scales too if you want to by using Delta, so that's just another option. I am playing 2 copies of Driver. 3 just was a little bit cloggy. You see it in your hand too much, and obviously you want to be picking up this guy from the deck and dropping him on the field, or from the graveyard, obviously, which you can too. This guy's just basically here as your non-tuner material, right? So yeah, I felt that 2 was enough. 3 was a bit too much, and then if you only played 1 though and it got banished, you're kind of fucked. That's it for the Psyframe engine. Moving on, we have the Yosenju. So I play 2 copies of Comma 1. Basically all of them, if you normal summon it, you get to immediately normal summon another Yosenju, so that's pretty cool. With 1 though, if you control another Yosenju monster, you can target 1 face-up card your opponent controls and then return that card to the hand. Something even like Vanities would actually really help, because these are all normal summons. If your opponent has Vanities on board, you can always just return the Vanities back to their hand, so you can continue your plays, and all they can do is set it the next turn. But you'll still be able to drop your Psyframes during their turn, because they obviously cannot activate that Vanities. 1 copy of Comma 2, 1 copy of Comma 3. So the Yosenju lineup is really light, but I think that it's perfectly fine at this ratio. So Comma 2 is an 1800 beater that can attack your opponent directly, but all damage would be cut in half if he just attacks directly. Obviously, if your opponent controls no monsters, just do a regular attack for the 1800 versus like cutting it in half, right? And then with Comma 3, basically if another Yosenju does deal damage, you get to add another Yosenju monster from your deck to your hand. You probably want to be seeing this guy first. Unfortunately, it's not if he attacks, if another Yosenju attacks. So, but I feel that this ratio is perfect. This still allows you to apply pressure to your opponent without like leaving the monsters on the field. The fact that they're all level 4 too, and they can just keep normal summoning off of each other, you can allow access to some rank 4s, so I felt that was really good too. That's it for Yosenju monsters. The last two monsters I am playing are, of course, Maxi. Definitely best hand trap in the game at the moment. Especially when Zodiacs come out, you're like always gonna want to see this guy in your opening hand. So that's 19 monsters. Moving on to the spells. So I play 3 copies of Psyframe Circuit. This is the field spell. You always want this on board, like first turn, because it allows you to instantly synchro summon whenever you have your Psyframe gears summoned. Basically, you summon the gear's effect will allow you to summon driver, and then you can use those two to synchro summon. Another nifty ability, it has like an honest-ish effect. If your opponent attacks into one of your Psyframes, basically you just pitch another one of your Psyframes from hand, and then that monster that was targeted for the attack gains the attack of the discarded monster. So essentially honest-ish. So I know a lot of your gears don't have the highest attack, but usually they won't see that effect coming, and you'll be able to get over a lot of their monsters. If you do have driver in hand though, pitch it. That's another 2500 attack, and I'm almost certain that you'll be able to run over pretty much anything. So obviously, in order to get to Circuit, we are playing 2 copies of Terraforming as well. 3 copies of Tenki, just because all of your Yosenjus are Beast Warriors, so this searches them out. And let's be honest, that extra 100 attack helps as well. 2 copies of Twin Twister, just because you want to be getting rid of back row and being able to push. So I felt that 2 copies of Twin Twister was necessary. Then the last spell card is just 1 copy of Regeki, of course, just to clear the field. Now we're moving on to traps. I play 11 spells, 10 traps for a 40 card deck. 3 copies of Overload. This is still by far the best Psyframe trap card. All the other ones are shit actually, so just like don't even play them. But with Overload, basically, while it's face up, you can banish one of your Psyframes from your graveyard and then banish another card on the field face down. So that basically gets rid of any problematic card that your opponent has, because they cannot get it back once it's banished face down. Also, if this card's in your graveyard, you can always just banish it, and then it searches you another Psyframe card. 3 copies of Strike, just because you obviously want to be getting rid of your opponent's monsters. Same thing with 2 copies of Dimensional Barrier. This card is really nuts. People are opting to play like 3 of this over the 3 strikes actually. But I feel like with 3 strikes and 2 Dimensional Barrier, your opponent's going to have a really hard time putting monsters on board and keeping them on board. And just because we play the 1 copy of Solemn Warning as well, I mean, you're definitely not going to be using like all 3 strikes, the 2 barrier, and 1 warning in 1 duel, but you obviously want it there just because. And the very last trap that I am playing is 1 copy of Drowning Mirror Force, just because you usually don't have any monsters on board and your opponent will be attacking directly. So this card just shuffles all of those monsters back into the deck, which is insane. That's it for the main deck. Let's go on to the extra. So the main boss monster is Omega. You know, a lot of people love Omega. People have been playing like 2 or 3 of this guy. The fact that he can recycle himself, I don't really see a need to play more than one. When he's on the field, you can banish him at any time to pull a card out of your opponent's hand. So that's really helpful. And then after that effect, during your next standby phase, he'll come back. So that also helps by keeping your field empty. He's a 28 beater, level 8. During your opponent's standby phase, if this guy's on board, you can take a banished card, put it back into the graveyard. And then if Omega somehow dies, ends up in the graveyard, or even if they like negate the summon somehow, let's say they like Solemn Strike the summon, once it's in the graveyard, you can shuffle any card from the graveyard back into the deck and then throw this guy right back into the extra deck. So you can summon him again. So you're never going to get rid of this guy, unfortunately, but that's what you want, right? You want to always keep him on board, or just shuffle him back in when you need to. I decided to play one copy of Crystal Wing because that's probably one of the best level 8s. It is not that easy to bring out because usually with the gears, you need to have no monsters on field. But in order to bring this guy out, you need to sync into a synchro monster, obviously. So if there is an odd chance that you have your gear on board along with like a level 7 synchro monster, you can always just synchro into this guy as well, because it's just a great option to have if you are able to go into him, because he's extremely difficult to get over. Another level 8 that I decided to play was Stardust Dragon. Really good for protection. Basically, if your opponent would destroy anything by a card effect, you can send this guy to the grave, negate that, and then of course when he's in the grave, your field would be empty. You can continue your plays, and then during the end phase, if you activate that effect, he just comes back, and you gotta love the ghost rare. Another ghost rare, Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend. Really good just for burn. This guy has 3,000 attack, so he can really push for damage. I mean, you're not going to be going into him that often. Just if you see an opportunity to push for game with burn and attacking, you might as well go into this guy, because you can probably push like 4,000 damage easily, maybe even more, depending on the number of monsters you destroy with this card's effect. For the last level 8, I decided to play Scrap Dragon. Basically, you want to use his effect on himself to pop himself and then pop another card you control. So that way you're getting rid of a problematic card and still keeping your field open. Now we have the level 7, so I am playing one copy of Zeta. Same thing with Omega, you don't need to play anymore. This guy recycles himself, so that's really good. If your opponent summons a problematic monster, you can banish this guy and the opponent's monster. But again, during your next standby phase, this guy comes back. If this card is also in your graveyard, you can always just throw him back into the extra deck by adding one of your Psyframe cards in your graveyard back to your hand. So just more recycling makes it a lot easier. Another really good level 7 synchro is Clear Wing, of course. Pretty similar to Crystal Wing. Allows you to negate monster effects. I wouldn't go into him as often, honestly, but it is still a great card, and it is an option if, the opportunity arises. So here's a big surprise, 2 copies of Black Rose. I gotta give a big shout out to my boy Nova. he actually suggested this because any synchro deck you see now, they'd only be playing one of this. So if your opponent drops Black Rose, they nuke you, you're like, shit, okay. At least I know that that's their Black Rose, they're done with it. I can continue my plays. But if someone drops that second Black Rose and nukes you again, like the amount of advantage that Black Rose player is getting is huge because they're just getting rid of your board twice versus once. So you gotta just love the ability to drop Black Rose. I really like using it like with Alpha, probably like at the beginning of a duel. If they fucking pendulum summon and then you drop Alpha synchro into this and nuke them, like their turn's up. And then from there you can just start dropping your Senjus. So 2 Black Rose, if you're able to pull it off both times in a duel, you're 99% of the time you're gonna win. And just for another Black Rose, I decided to add Moonlight. It's still pretty good. It can bounce monsters back. This card will stay on the field though, so it's probably not your first option, but again, it is an option if you see it necessary. That's 10 synchro monsters, and now I also played 5 rank 4 XZs just because you can go into them with the Yosenjus. So I played Diamond Dire just because, similar to Scrap Dragon, you'll pop itself and then you get to pop another card on the field. So it's just for like your basic removal. The Utopia Brigade, just because 5,000 to the face is pretty nuts. It allows you to get over pretty much anything. You're obviously playing Utopia Ray too, so you get access into Lightning's effect twice. And then of course the last monster I am playing is Gagaga Cowboy. I really like this for the 800 burn. If you are able to use comma 2, attack directly, its attack's cut in half, but that's fine. That's 900. And then you can overlay your other Yosenju into this guy in the fence position, deal the last 800. So that's essentially 1,700 life points that you'll be taking away from your opponent, which they probably won't see coming, but it's a pretty great ability to do. So that's why you gotta be playing Gagaga to push for that last little bit of damage. Anyways, that was my Psyframe Yosenju deck. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.